Welcome back. Today we have a rich word, a note in the history of photography, a birthday, a song, and a quote. So grab your favorite cuppa, settle in, and let's have a look. Hi there, and welcome to This Day in History for October 14th. October 14th is the 287th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, 288th in leap years, with 78 days remaining to the end of the year. Today's word is opulent. Opulent is an adjective that means exhibiting or characterized by opulence, one of those words that uses itself to define itself, so let's take a little side trip here. Opulence is a noun that means wealth, riches, or affluence. So opulent means exhibiting or characterized by wealth, riches, or affluence. Opulent can also mean having a large estate or property, amply or plentifully provided or fashioned, luxuriant, profuse, lavish. More simply put, opulent is a word you can use to describe something that is rich, luxurious, and lavish in appearance or style. Can also mean wealthy, affluent, or abundant in a more general sense. Examples in use may include opulent blossoms, opulent decor. The ballroom was decorated in an opulent style with golden chandeliers and velvet drapes. Or, after years of hard work, she lived in an opulent mansion overlooking the sea. Or, nature itself can appear opulent, as in a lush rainforest overflowing with life. Opulent is about abundance, wealth, and lavishness, whether in material possessions or natural splendor. And while the word opulent often carries a sense of extravagance or even excess, suggesting more than just comfort, implying showy richness, opulent is also used in descriptions of architecture, fashion, interior design, and lifestyle. The word opulent comes to us through French, Latin before that, from a Proto-Indo-European root word, op, that meant to work, produce in abundance. We can see this root word part, op, as an ancestor to such words as cooperate, copious, copy, cornucopia, office, and more. First known use of the word opulent is in the 1500s. Opulent. Today's word opulent was requested by YouTube viewer @Lynn Creamer. Thanks, Lynn. And if you have a word you'd like to see in this Word of the Day segment, drop it in the comments. We'll get it on the list. And with that, most of us carry these brilliant little devices around with us. One of the many amazing functions of these things is that they have cameras in them. One can simply point the camera lens at whatever they want to document, touch a little electronic button, and take a picture. It hasn't always been so. So let's talk for a moment about photography. Bonus word, photograph, comes from the word parts photo, which has to do with light, and graph, which has to do with something written. So a photograph is an image written with light. Centuries ago, some brilliant humans discovered that they could project scenes and images using a technique called camera obscura. Leonardo da Vinci, for example, first described a device that would make a drawing in perfect perspective much easier to achieve by projecting that image through the camera obscura device onto a surface upon which one wished to make the art, like a wall or a canvas. Artists such as Vermeer and Canaletto are known to have used camera obscura to get accurate likenesses. Other artists of that time are thought to have used camera obscura, but we don't know for sure that they did. In the 1800s, Louis Daguerre introduced a method for making photographs known as daguerreotype. This method used light-sensitive chemicals to get images, initially on highly polished metal plates. By and by, they discovered they could apply these same light-sensitive chemicals to glass to capture these images. This brings us to today's item, which is that on October 14, 1884, George Eastman, of Eastman Kodak fame, received a U.S. government patent on his new paper strip photographic film, the first flexible photographic roll film. Transparent plastic roll film will come along shortly. Today it's on paper. This is the birthday of 34th President of the United States, Dwight D. Eisenhower. Born David Dwight Eisenhower on October 14, 1890 in Denison, Texas. He married his wife Mamie in 1916, served in World War II as a Supreme Allied Commander of the Allied Expeditionary Force, then Chief of Staff of the Army, President of Columbia University, first Supreme Allied Commander of Europe in 1951 and 52, then 2 terms as 34th President of the United States. During his presidency, he advocated for constructive use of nuclear fission, for electrical energy and nuclear medicine, rather than for nuclear arms race proliferation, leading to the Atomic Energy Act of 1954. Eisenhower really believed in the benefits of an interstate highway system and signed the Interstate Highway System Bill in 1956. Alaska and Hawaii were admitted as states during his presidency. The 22nd Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, setting a 2-year term limit on the presidency, had been ratified in 1951, so Eisenhower was the first president constitutionally prevented from serving a 3rd term, and was also the first outgoing president to enjoy the benefits of the Former President's Act, wherein former presidents are entitled to a lifetime pension, state-provided staff, and a Secret Service security detail. President Eisenhower's approval ratings were consistently high during his presidency, and as far as I can tell, is still generally thought well of. Dwight D. Eisenhower lived to the age of 78. This is the birthday of Thomas Morgan Robertson, born October 14, 1958, in London, England. We know him better by his stage name, Thomas Dolby. He sang in a choir at a young age, 10 or 11, learned to sight-read a line of music, but didn't have any formal music education. He played a little guitar, some piano, was a fan of folks like Bob Dylan, Oscar Peterson, Dave Brubeck, Thelonious Monk. In the mid-70s, he latched onto a synthesizer, and as he says, he never looked back. This interest in and activity with synthesizers and such electronic equipment soon earned him the nickname of Dolby, and he adopted the stage name of Thomas Dolby to avoid confusion with another singer named Tom Robinson. This award-winning creative has worked as a singer, songwriter, musician, composer, record producer, teacher, and musical director, producing studio albums, soundtrack albums, singles, and more. Thomas Dolby is still working, by golly. He's got a pretty busy tour schedule lined up. Happy birthday, Thomas Dolby. So let's talk about Thomas Dolby's song, She Blinded Me with Science. This synth-pop new wave song was written by Thomas Dolby and Joe Kerr, and initially released as a single in the UK in October of 1982. Later, but not too much later, it was included on the extended play record Blinded by Science and the re-release of Thomas Dolby's debut album, The Golden Age of Wireless. The song didn't do all that well in the UK, but it did get to number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100 in the US, and number 1 in Canada's RPM magazine. She Blinded Me with Science was used as theme song in the pilot episode of The Big Bang Theory. The song is sometimes referred to as a one-hit wonder, even though Thomas Dolby has continued working all these years, has released songs, albums, music videos, and soundtrack albums for movies, and is touring. She Blinded Me with Science by Thomas Dolby. Link in the description. How about that? For today's quote, I found a good one by George Eastman, who said, "What we do during our working hours determines what we have. What we do in our leisure hours determines what we are." George Eastman. Alrighty, y'all, take care. Be good to each other. I'll see you next time. And a hearty and grateful shout out to these lovely folks who've bought me a coffee. Thank you so much. And if you'd like to add your name to that list, there is a link in the description where you too can buy me a coffee. Alrighty. And I think that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share this video with a link in your email, messaging, or social media. If you enjoy this series, you can check out the playlists in the description. You can find me on BitChute, Facebook, Odyssey, Rumble, YouTube, and X, as well as on a blog page called No Really. No Really. No Really. Consider following my Day in History page on Facebook if you're on Facebook. I also have a Patreon account now, or you can buy me a coffee. All those links are in the description. Alrighty, that's all I can think of right now. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.